Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, and I am delighted to be joined today, this evening here in the UK, but morning or early afternoon for Susan in the States. Susan Brown, she's going to be sharing with us Pathway into Oneness. And so Susan, first I'm going to say a very quick welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for inviting me. It's
a real pleasure. Let me introduce you a little bit about Susan. Susan Brown is a spiritual mentor, intuitive healer, and channel. Her gifts are to empower and guide people to connect to their higher self and guides. Susan also provides spiritual guidance and shares how to live a life you were meant to have. Years ago, following a divorce, Susan left the restaurant business after 30 years and had at that time an innate sense that she was a healer and that was her passion and her mission for this lifetime. Susan had started studying every type of modality that was out there, but there was one thing missing. She was guided to the Peruvian rainforest to study with the shaman. For 6 months, she was deep in the jungle with no electricity, no running water, and all the elements of the jungle. Susan, welcome and thank you for coming and joining us this evening.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here too.
I'm looking forward to this. But before we go any further, can you share a little, and I know we've just read your bio, share a little of your story. So from your perspective, not just the written word that I've read out.
Okay, so let's see. So I guess really when everything started shifting in my life is when I got a divorce. And that part was where all of a sudden I felt like I was doing everything for everybody else. Not that I didn't enjoy, I loved my restaurant, I loved the people, but like inside me, I felt like there was something missing. So at that point, I started studying a little of tarot cards, and at that point also I got a divorce. And then I was like, okay, so all my outside stuff was gone and it was just left with me. So there was one day in my life that I really remember that I was sitting at home and I realized that I was doing everything for everybody else. That who really cared what I was doing? I thought I needed to go shopping. I thought I needed to go out for the day. And I was like, nobody really knows what I'm doing at all. So on that day, that was my total change. I took a bath in the middle of the afternoon. I took a bath. I put some crystals around, some candles, and I just really enjoyed myself. And at that point, I started realizing I need to do my own inner work. And of course, that started with the tarot cards, 7th grade mystery school, and I just went on and on from there and really haven't stopped. And that's part of what I love to share now, is really to help people find that joy again, in our everyday lives, not, like really big, in the simple things. I think that's really important.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. Pam Hines says, hello, Susan.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. When we realize that people aren't thinking about us anyway, we're worrying about what they're thinking about us, but they're not thinking about us. They might be worrying about what we're thinking about them, but actually they're concentrating on what is going on in their own life. And so it's this where your pathway into oneness, this is an aspect, the beginning of finding yourself and what speaks to you, what works for you.
Yes, that's really what started it. When I was thinking about what I wanted to do in my life, I started getting this, like, it was in a word, like I had this feeling going, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to learn. And, at that point, I was connected to my guides and everything, but I really didn't know what it was at that time. New Age and all that stuff. There was nobody to talk to about what was going on in my own life, on, my guardian angel, oh, that's who was talking to me this whole time, my whole life, going, Susan. And I was like, I didn't know. So that's where my journey started. And it's been amazing since. And that's also how I ended up in the jungles of Peru, listening to my guides.
Somebody's having difficulty getting in, Sandy. So sort of sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to answer that at the same time. Share a little about the time in the jungle, because I'm sure people would love to hear that. And I suppose the enlightenment, because I'm sure there will have been enlightenment, there will have been understandings that came to you, but I'm sure that you bring, because one of the points you put here is gaining clarity. And I think what's going on in our world at the moment is giving an awful lot of people a chance to gain some clarity in their life. So, and we all come to it differently, don't we?
Yes, and I think that's an important part is, like you said, everybody comes to it differently. This is how I came about. It was I really wanted to work with a shaman. I felt that was my calling, and I just got on a website and I wanted to connect more to the plants and the trees. And I ended up signing up for the first 3 months, going deep in the jungles, studying with the shaman. And yes, there were so many amazing moments. I studied with ayahuasca, San Pedro, tobacco, did dietas. But I guess the more important part about the whole thing was one thing that I learned was really working from the heart. I really got to see and understand how it was to work from your heart and live from your heart through the whole time, working with the shaman, seeing how he works and what he brings in. And plus the aha moments of, I was always looking at everything from my point of view. And I remember standing in the middle of the jungle and I had this moment of like, I can't believe it. I never thought of it from someone else's view. And it was the most unbelievable. I was like, that was 6 years later. And I finally just got it. So coming from the heart, I learned so much about non-judgment, compassion, understanding, and really, really how to be with people, work with people, and help people. And so many oh my God, so many experiences. I wouldn't change it for the world. I have to say, probably it wasn't, the most easiest thing. Like you said, being in the elements, I had rats, I had snakes, everything you could think of that you wouldn't want, I had. But it was the biggest transformation. And I think that's why I'm so passionate to share with people to empower themselves as being a guide to help people so they can get the clarity and the understanding. So this way, however they find it, it's really their way. And I'm just, they're supporting them finding it, so they can get their clarity like I did.
And it's that important, isn't it? Because was it the saying, it's something about a really good teacher sort of guides you, but then you have to learn it for yourself, sort of. And yeah, I didn't say that right, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And that is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's our own truth. What is it that truly speaks to us. And you're sort of talking about the judgment. And absolutely, when you're working one-on-one groups, we have no idea what has gone on in people's lives. So judging them from that little bit that we are seeing when we have no idea of past experiences. And this is one of the reasons I ask people to share a little of their story, because it's really important to be open to how people have reacted and therefore grown from the experiences in their life.
It is amazing. And I agree with you. Everybody has their own experience. And I think coming from that place of non-judgment and coming from the heart and being opened, it's an unbelievable place to be, and it's a place where everybody can be, and I love to see when people transform or things happen in people's lives that, people get shifts in their lives. It's just amazing. So kind of working on living at, in this moment, because I know we all have a past, but helping people to move forward into what they want, how they want to live, and what makes them happy, and have them really get their own clarity on their own joys. Because with everything that goes on in the world, we are so connected to everything else. And speaking with a lot of women, I know we've lost our joy, because we're set on this path, and then to re-find our own joy is very empowering.
I think a lot of people, we haven't been raised to think about ourselves. And that's very much men and women.
Yes.
The men, it's just like, right, you're meant to, obviously from the era that I was born. It was very much that the men were meant to be the breadwinners and the little woman was meant to stay at home with the kids and be tied to the sink, and which is way beyond where things are today. But unfortunately, you've still got people stuck in that rut, which makes it very difficult for a lot of people. But when we learn to love ourselves, be true to ourselves, honor our own self, we can do so much more for others.
Yes.
And that is the greatest teaching. It's not selfish to love yourself and learn to say no. By doing that, you are actually empowering two people, them and you.
Yes, I totally agree. Men and women. So we're both probably around the same generation. The boys, like they need to, grow up, find a job, take care, get married. As a woman, mine was, well, in my family, get a job, get a house, get the white picket fence, have children, and then what? And then retire. But, the point that, I love what you said about like selfish or the self-care. It's we need to take care of ourselves and love ourselves. And it's very important, because when you love yourself, you also are sharing so much more, instead of feeling, feeling depleted or not really doing what makes you happy. Because if you do what makes you happy, you share so much more. So yeah. I like the self-care, even selfish, to change what the word means is something really good. It's, I am,
Yeah, forgive me that people are having a problem listening for some reason. And and I obviously, because I can't see what's happening, I can't say. So I apologize. I really do, but I've just put, sorry, having problems. There will be a replay. I'm not a fast typer, so I apologize. What I'd like to do is say selfish. We've taken that word as meaning that somebody asks you to do something and you turn around and say no. And they turn around and say, but that is so selfish of you. Who's the one being selfish? In the true sense of the word, not the person who said no, but the person who is expecting you to drop everything and not be true to yourself to do some stuff for them. And I think it's a matter of relearning what that word really means.
Yes, I agree. And, when I was listening to you, I remembered a big part of in that transition of divorce and going off into the jungle, that I would do so many things and say yes to so many things that I really didn't want to do. And, it just, as you're talking, it just brought back all those thoughts and those feelings of, do you want to have these people over? Yes, but really no. Or, you want to go out for dinner or, no, I really don't. Yes. Okay, I will. And it took a while for me to go back and go, okay, so do I really want to do that? And so I had to say no. And, even when I left my restaurant and I went off to the jungle, everybody was saying that I was crazy. Like they couldn't believe that what I was doing. But in my heart, I knew that was something that I wanted to do, that it was part of my plan. And so, I started learning, going, no, I am going. This is what I really want to do. So, and I think it's a process, and it took me a while. So yes, selfless. I like that. Change it.
And so this is part of obviously what you're sharing with the pathway into oneness. We start with the oneness with ourself.
Yes.
And then we can move forward. And you talk here about releasing energies that no longer serve you. Do you want to expand a little on that?
Well, first of all, of course, everything is energy, and thoughts are energy, feelings are energy, and relationships are energy. So it kind of goes back into kind of that self-care, to kind of get back to yourself. And what I do is energetically help release those energies that are stopping you from moving forward. So it's an energetic clearing, because in a way that I look at, in my life and moving forward, I kind of had to release all those thought patterns that, of what people said, what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to go, when I was supposed to go, how I was supposed to live, how I was supposed to dress, all of that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, imagine seeing, taking the coat off, this coat that isn't yours, and just, and be your authentic self. We're here one time. Let's enjoy it, being who we are. So I guess that's the best way I could explain that.
So, which really leads straight into the next point, which all of that helps us to awaken our mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
Would you like to expand?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, life is a journey. And when I went off to Peru, I thought I was healed. So that's another big joke. But anyway, so I guess the most important thing is life is a journey. Allow it to flow. Have that, like we were talking earlier, the flow, and also having trust. Just having trust that everything is divinely planned, everything is right. Lessons that come to us. I think of all the lessons that I've had in my life. They're all gifts. They're all gifts because it makes me stronger. And, you know, like, yes, awaken that fire, awaken your life to be who you are, you know, just be you. You know, I had this poem I always loved. It was an I am poem. Mm-hmm. And I never really, you know, it's been with me for about 15 years. And that's where I started is I am who I am. I am not my past. I am not my present. I don't know how the whole poem goes, but it basically is I am who I am, and accepting who I am.
And that is the most important thing, that acceptance of self. And that is the thing that we all find, or majority find, hardest. And I remember going through things that I went through, and somebody once sort of said to me, you never know when you are being lucky. But it's so true. You know, my wake-up call came in the form of a broken jaw. Yours, 6 months of pain and sleepless nights. Your, for want of a better way of putting it, your wake-up call came within your divorce and everything that went on around that. You listen to so many of the top speakers of today, and whether you want to call it a wake-up call, but they've lost everything. They've had dreadful health. They've this, that, yeah, so many things. They've had a wake-up call. And basically, I suppose many of us are here trying to help people not to necessarily have to go through what we went through, because you can do it without having that trauma, for want of a better way of putting it, in your life that results. But that can be one of the best things that ever happens to you, but not at the time it's happening, but when you come out the other side, what you can take from that.
I totally agree. I remember one time I was in the sanctuary and I was sitting in the gazebo, and I was just sitting there and thinking about something in the past, and I was like, wow, was that a gift? You know, I didn't know. And I was like, I wouldn't be here at this moment without that happening in my life. So like you said, you don't know at that time what it is. And it's, you know, you're right. And not everybody has to go through that. And I think that's why I think about some of my passions is really to help people. Maybe, you know, you don't need that explosion of, you know, those things happening in your life. Maybe you don't have to go all the way down to the, you know, to the bottom, you know, and just be able to go from where you are now and move forward and just enjoy life and, you know, find those joys and really be able to be in a place where you find peace, you know, in the moment, or being in the moment, like being here and talking to you. And this is what's going on, is, you know, being in the moment and having our conversation. But I always say, once you already say you're in the moment, you're out of the moment. So it's pretty funny. So.
And it's about intention. It's about intentionally doing things. And yes, there's an aspect of mind that comes into that, but it's the mind listening to the heart and helping the heart, you to live your heart choices. And it's saying, okay, what would I like to experience? What would I like to do? How do I wish to feel today? with every single one of those, we have a choice. And it is encouraging everyone to make that choice for themselves, providing we don't actually hurt anybody else. And sometimes our no may, oh, but that's hurt somebody. Yes, but when you open up, no can be the biggest gift anybody can give you, because it can guide you in another direction. It can help you stand on your own 2 feet. There are so many different things that can occur with no that cannot occur with yes.
That's profound. I love that. That's beautiful. I think about, I guess the most important thing I think also is that we create our own realities. I truly believe it. And when you were saying intent, that's one of my big things is, having that intent, but also speaking out to the universe, what you would like, or how you would like to live. Like you said, what brings you joy? How do I want to spend my day? And then kind of letting it go. So many people hold on to it so tight that there's no way you can be open to what the universe is bringing you. It's amazing. So for me, in the morning, I start up in the morning, just very simple. My eyes are still closed, and I start thinking about my day and what brings me, what I'm grateful for. So I'm already switching my energy on, what I'd like and what I'm grateful for. And then at that point, I'm letting it go. And we really do create our own realities, and if you just have that trust and allow the flow, because you never know how it comes in. When you start putting everything, in a box, and it's supposed to be like this and it's supposed to come like that, we don't know. It comes, and when it does, I love it. And it's always like, I'm always laughing because it's amazing how things happen. But it's always when I let it go.
And it so much is about letting go and allowing. Also, I was listening to something earlier, and it's also about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It's all about all of it.
Yes.
This is our journey. This is our life. We shouldn't be living it for others, and we shouldn't be expecting others to live theirs for us. It doesn't stop us coming together. But I think when we're truly true to ourselves, the coming together can be so much more fulfilling for everybody.
Wow. Can I write all that down?
What's the recording? You can they're just words that came out of my mouth.
I love it. I love it. That was so profound. I'm speechless. I'm just.
You're not allowed to be speechless.
That was beautiful. I love that. And it is very important for us to, do what we love. I think we, as we discussed earlier, so much is we do what other people want us to do. And if we could take that one step, and just, even if everybody just one day takes and goes, and thinks about what they're going to do for that day and what really brings them joy, and say, okay, yes, or no, or however that is, and to start realizing that empowering piece that we are here to, what else are we here for? we're here to live, to enjoy and have fun and do things. And we've gotten far, far, far away from that, you know? So, yes.
It's about allowing ourselves to experience whatever those experiences are. And for me, I wouldn't change anything, including all the traumas as a baby. I wouldn't change any of it. My wake-up call, none of it. The pain, the hurt, the trauma. Because they have been, for me, huge gifts. And it's how we look at things that have happened in our life. So it's a matter of going back to that word judgment, isn't it? And it's just like, do we judge it, or do we look at it and say, what have I learned from this? What has it given me? What is the gift in this lifetime from that? And I find that I wouldn't change any of it, not a single thing, because I wouldn't be sat here right now having this conversation with you if I changed even the minutest little thing in my past. So it's loving our past because it is what helps us and is who we are today.
Yeah, there's, I think about that. It's kind of like understanding the past and knowing it, but not feeling the pain from it anymore. So you can move forward and do something else. And so like you and myself and others that have had, you know, certain traumas and things and that happen in their lives. I know I almost died in the jungle of malaria. I had malaria. I mean, that was my end, you know, and pleading, you know, with God that I can survive. And that's another whole story. That's only, you know, 1 week in my 6 months of, and I wouldn't change anything because, like you said, that's truly who made me who I am. And working with the shaman that I did, I got the perfect person that no matter what he did, he came from his heart. And he treated me like a family member, which in some ways is good, you know, but he definitely treated me like I didn't get any easy things, but, you know, but it was all done with love. And so many experiences there where someone stole money from me. And that's another whole story where I had to really come back to my heart. That was another heart-opening experience, that this man was with me and there weren't many people. And he stole the money out of my cabin. And every day I would see him and I would say hello to him, and I understood why he did it. And if I was in his position where my family was going to die, maybe I would have done that also. So I spent days saying hello to him and just showing him that there is no feeling, no judgment, nothing against him. It was just, I understand, I care for you, I'm here. You know, and it took a while, but after a while, he started looking up to me and just smiling, and we got very close. But that was a time where another experience where I really came from the heart. And I think that's a very emotional story for me.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And I'm sure you have lots of stories that you tell from that time. And I think it's when we share our story, it helps people realize then they are not the only one. You know, we are all special. We are all special on our own unique way. Our experiences are unique to us, but they aren't. The uniqueness is our reaction to them. So, a child going through what I went through could have ended up really, really angry and bitter at life, or a people pleaser like me, or various other scenarios, I am sure. You going through what you went through, again, your reaction, somebody else's, could have been totally different. It is how we choose to react to what happens in our life.
Wow, that's another profound statement. You're right. It really depends on how we look at it. And I think over the time I laugh because, my mother always says, I'm always very like the glass is half full. And I always try to look at things that, in the more positive sense, because it doesn't really help us to, go down that road, oh, I don't like that, or that's not supposed to be that way. It doesn't change anything. So I feel if you bring in that, I don't mean I'm la-di-da, but I look at life and I just go, that's not really how I want to react to that. For me, the whole idea of spiritually aligned and becoming a spiritual being is really, having that compassion, having that understanding, non-judgment, coming from your heart, and just being yourself. And I think that's really the way to be. And that is a journey in itself. Each one. Oh, and forgiveness. I forgot.
Oh, yes.
The big one. Oh my God. How did I miss that one?
But I think sometimes it's about forgiveness of self more than forgiveness of the other. Because somebody does something, it's because it's what's going on in their life and their reaction to it, and actually has nothing to do with you at all. It's then your reaction to what happens. And if you do have a negative reaction, it's okay, now I must forgive myself for that. Some people feel they have to forgive the other person, but it's forgiveness of self. And truth to self, honoring self. And it's totally about self to create the oneness with all. Because until we have that truth to ourselves, how can we be one when we're not one with ourselves?
Right. That's so true. And I think of, that aha moment that I had when I was in the jungle. That was part of the forgiveness, because I realized, wow, there was a me in that part. Which so it was kind of like, okay, so also forgiving myself and understanding, wow, I was a part of that in, noticing in certain things in my life. And I always, I think about forgiveness as, forgiving yourself. And because if you say, you forgive somebody, you're already saying, I think in some way, that they did something wrong, so that's my thought on forgiveness is, and I agree. Yes, it's the self.
This has been wonderful, and we're coming very much to the close of the program. But is there anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to share at this point?
Not that I know of. I think we did pretty good. We covered the gamut of, I think, part of the world. I guess, the most important thing is embracing who you are you know, be yourself, enjoy life, look at things that, you know, bring you joy, learn to say that no is, and what is right for you. And just coming back to that moment of yourself, which I think that, you know, we went over, but I think that's the most important part.
Thank you so much for sharing. Do you want to just let people know, and I will put this under the actual video when it goes up on YouTube, your website address?
Okay. It's susanbrowncoach.com. And I'd also like, I know you're, I'm offering my Jumpstart ebook, which is to jumpstart your life. It's all about connecting to spirit, Mother Earth, and things like that. So I'd like to offer that to everybody that is here. And also, one thing that's very important, I have 30 minutes where people can talk to me and ask one question about spirituality or how to move their life forward. So the reason I do that is because when I started, I didn't have that. And I feel that it's something very important. So I'd like to offer that also.
Brilliant. So bearing in mind that your video will be up forever and a day.
That'll be up. That's good.
Seriously, but obviously both those offers are on the website.
Yes.
Okay. So folks, depending on obviously when you view this, the offers may have changed, but for now, as of this date, in October already, 2020. And so susanbrowncoach.com.
And if it's not there, I can also give you the links for those separately.
Brilliant. But go to Susan's website, and if you can't find the links, I'm sure there's contact details for Susan. Yes. Or come back to Gift of Healing TV and say, what are those links? And I'll come contact Susan and forward your email to her so that you're in.
Please tell I 135.
So sort of we'll make sure that is the case. So Susan, thank you so much. Folks, next week, Finding Your Voice, Creating Your Personal Roadmap to Success with Renee Richer. So I hope that you will join Renee and I for that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm sorry to those people who had few issues listening to us live, so I hope they've enjoyed the replay. Unfortunately, we will get cut off the minute I stop recording. So Susan, thank you so much. It has been a real pleasure. I will send you the link tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Sarah. This has been amazing. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Take care. Be safe, folks. Namaste. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.